So I've seen a few issues regarding Ubisoft in the past few weeks and months. And obviously with me doing this, all my videos and everything like that I've been doing on here, it is one of those cases where, I have been able to give some information on some of the controversies they've had. I've skipped out on a few of them as well, just because I feel like I've done, not a lot, but a decent amount already since I've started my YouTube channel of videos regarding Ubisoft and a lot of the issues they've been having. And this is no different, and the fact that this is kind of happening is a little bit funny and something I really wanted to get into because this is going to kind of determine the fate of where video games kind of go into the future. And something like this, I think, is hilarious that it's happening to Ubisoft because they've been having so many issues this year. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go, and I'm kind of hoping it goes into the right direction that we would all kind of hope for if you are a gamer in that regard. So let's go ahead and check out this article. So, two fans are officially suing Ubisoft, and they might have a real case. So, the past few months have not been kind to Ubisoft. Yeah, no shit. The AAA gaming giant has battled employee strikes and product delays, among other mounting issues. Furthermore, their large franchise, Assassin's Creed, has not been immune to these problems, with the next game in the series, Assassin's Creed Shadows, being moved from a November 2024 release to a February 2025 launch. Ubisoft has been scrambling to drown out these issues. However, it has not been easy for the developer, and the new dilemma has entered the ring over the past few days. So, pretty interesting. Class action lawsuits in the gaming industry are not uncommon, as recent cases about the use of loot boxes in gaming have been used to focus on mountains of illegal proceedings. However, the newest class action lawsuit against Ubisoft will be a precedent regarding of how it will be ruled. In Ubisoft's battle to differentiate to its fans the difference between purchasing and licensing games, they seem to have met their biggest challenge with the legal battle regarding the shutdown of its live service game, The Crew. So I'm genuine again, like I said, I'm genuinely interested to see where this is gonna go. Every major game developer eventually runs into a few scandals, as not every product performs as expected, and fans are often left unsatisfied with their purchase. For most developers, it simply means putting more effort into the subsequent projects to make up for the mistakes of the prior releases. With how many issues Ubisoft has had in regards to them just coming out with game after game that's been flopping, they aren't really having much luck in that regard. So, however, some of the developers become complacent over the years and don't realize the flaws in their projects before it's too late, and corporate begins to complain about the performance. This situation is precisely what has happened to Ubisoft over the past few months, as corporate layoffs, employee strikes, and delays product release leaves more questions than answers for the AAA gaming giant. The first of Ubisoft's many issues began with the highly anticipated release of Star Wars Outlaws, a AAA open world title that promised to be a sci fi epic. While some parts of the game did turn out to be enjoyable, it felt like a bloated experience that prioritized quantity over quality in terms of content. This leads to the project falling short of expectations, as it was not a high quality of a game as its Star Wars game counterparts like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This was only the first domino to fall for Ubisoft as problems continued to mount, which is putting it lightly. First, Ubisoft canceled all public playtests for Assassin's Creed Shadows at Tokyo's game show, making players unable to see the game in action before its February 2025 release date. Therefore, fans are unable to give the developers meaningful critiques, so players are worried that the game will turn out flawed. On top of that, many of the company's employees recently went on strike for 4 days, citing a pay disagreement as the leading factor for the strike. Overall, Ubisoft has entered a significantly rough period, and it takes a large amount of effort to put these issues behind them. Unfortunately, a new lawsuit might make it difficult to move on from this flurry of problems. So it's true, man. They've been having issues in regards to their games being flops, them not being really finished or when releasing, as well as the fact that they have the whole Assassin's Creed Shadows, like they mentioned. It wasn't just the fact that they didn't have it at Tokyo's game show, but it was also the controversy behind the story itself and the fact that they were trying to switch things up to make it a black character in Tokyo. In Japan. So the fact that they're already dealing with all this stuff as it is, it's honestly at this point, it's kind of funny because Ubisoft has been a piece of shit company with a lot of assholes that have been running the corporation. So the fact that all this is happening to them, it's it's unfortunate, in a sense, because you know what I mean? I'm sure there are some developers and some workers out there that are probably just regular people just trying to pay their bills. But in regards to the higher ups and the peoples that have been in charge of like coming out with a lot of this stuff, it's like you get what you deserve at the end of the day. And you know what I mean? It's hard to feel bad for you guys when you guys have been acting like assholes this whole time too. So, The Crew was a live service racing game developed and published by Ubisoft. The game was a beloved racing title that played similarly to games like Forza and Gran Turismo, as it featured numerous vehicles that players used to speed their way through scenic tracks in beautiful cities. Like other racing titles, much of the game focused on acquiring new vehicles and upgrading them to make them faster, thus making it easier to acquire faster times in the game's many tracks. While this sort of gameplay loop is simple and has been done many times over the years, it is still enjoyable for many. As racing games are fun for those who enjoy sports titles without the absurd high level of competition that they bring to the table. Unfortunately, Ubisoft did not understand this popularity and they shut down the server's first installment in March of 2024. Fans were furious at the decision, and rightfully so, as the game did not feature a single player mode, thus making the project entirely unplayable after the servers were shut down. This shutdown led many fans joining together in a class action lawsuit that could set up an important precedent for the game's ownership in the future. In January of 2024, a Ubisoft executive has quoted in saying that the players need to get comfortable with not owning their games so that the video game subscription service can succeed. And there you go, right there, man. Making a stupid ass statement like that just goes to show. It's like chickens are coming home to roost, man, and you're gonna experience what that's like firsthand when you're making shitty ass comments like that to the players. And the fact is that when you make comments like this, you're not gonna have them have your back in that regard, and you're gonna have people like this that are gonna go ahead and sue you without any remorse because they're gonna be like, no, fuck them. They were assholes about this. So at the end of the day, man, you get what you deserve. So, this angered fans as players were appalled to think that the company could be so callous towards players' hard earned money and brand loyalty. Fans echoed this sentiment, and it led to a massive class action lawsuit that complained that many players did not receive a refund for their initial purchase, and that players were not informed that they did not own the game and that they were only licensing it. This lawsuit could help shape the future of the game's ownership in the industry, as it could determine who has the right to a game once it is purchased. So, this is actually pretty funny right here because the only reason these individuals are able to actually go through with this lawsuit was because of the law that was passed in California. I think it was like a month or so ago. So when they made the statement saying like, "Oh, the players got to get comfortable with not owning their games," they probably made that comment thinking like, "Oh, we can make comments like that in regards because there's nothing that's going to go against us." But once California had passed this law, that pretty much opened up the doors for stuff like this to go down. So there's a big chance that when they found out about this law, they were probably a little bit concerned, but we're probably hoping that, hopefully nobody notices and they don't try to do anything. Well, at the end of the day, when you become an asshole and you piss off these fans that you have, stuff like this is going to happen, man. It's going to be inevitable. So it's unfortunate for them, but fuck them. If the lawsuit is determined to go in the favor of the players, it would mean that fans have ownership of their games once they have initially purchased and are entitled to a refund, which I'm sure Ubisoft does not want. They don't want to be able to have to refund these games that they've come out with, especially if they're really shitty and, like this, have it where they decide eventually, like, you know what, we're not going to follow through with keeping an online service. Because then at that point, then people are going to be able to get their money back. So it's really going to screw them over even further than they've already done to themselves. So, however, if Ubisoft wins the case, it would mean that the companies are not required to provide a refund even if the game becomes unplayable through a server shutdown. Overall, this is a precautious time for Ubisoft and the game industry, and fans hope that this lawsuit puts the argument of ownership versus licensing in the past. So, this is I don't know, man. This is actually pretty funny because this is one of those things where it seems like it's going to be a lose-lose for Ubisoft regardless of what happens. Because if the lawsuit goes through with the individuals that are suing them, like it says, they'll have the ability to make a refund if they feel that they get screwed over in that regard. But even if Ubisoft does win, then it does kind of have to be the case where they're going to have to let players know, like, hey, you don't own these games. So if anything happens to them, you're not going to really be able to come at us because of it. But at the same time, I feel like all that's going to do is just have players be like, well, if that's how you guys are going to go about it, then I'm just not going to purchase your game in general. Because it does have the potential for me to get screwed over after I pay my money for this game. And there are some people that can make the argument, well, if you get a good amount of time that you're able to play the game, then, that kind of leaves it at that. But regardless, for the players, it is one of those things where you're going to be upset because of the fact that you purchased it with your hard-earned money. And the fact that they're going to be able to say that you don't have to pay anything back if you decide to shut it down, like I said, it's just going to kind of screw them over in the end. So I think this is interesting, and I feel like it's pretty funny that it's happening to Ubisoft of all people, because they've been, like I said, fucking dickheads for a while now. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think that, or do you guys hope that these individuals are going to be able to get the win on this lawsuit, or are you hoping that they are going to kind of leave it as is and not really say anything in regards to Ubisoft's case, or do you hope that Ubisoft is going to be able to win this one? So let me know what you guys think. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.